Man, you ever been so blindsided by petty that it made you question if you were living in reality or some jacked-up sitcom? That's where I was, 7:32 a.m. on a Wednesday, staring at my dark kitchen fridge humming low, power guy holding a mug of cold coffee and realizing someone straight up cut my electricity. Not forgot to pay the bill cut. I mean sabotaged. Now, let me back up a sec. Name's Theo Theodore if I'm in trouble with my mama, but most folks just know me as the quiet guy at the end of Windmere Drive. 39, systems engineer, semi-retired thanks to a little thing called patents and working my butt off since I was 15. Moved into that house 2 years ago after cashing out of my last tech firm. Big yard, privacy, solar panels, backup batteries, even my own server room in the basement. The kind of setup that says, I don't need you, but I'll wave from the porch. Apparently, that rubbed one neighbor the wrong way. Karen. Yeah, that Karen. Short bob haircut, pastel sweaters in July, and an attitude like she's God's middle manager. She ran the HOA like a one-woman cult if the cult had rules about mailbox color, grass length, and unsanctioned gatherings, which apparently included me hosting my nephews for a backyard barbecue. We'd been bumping elbows for months. First, it was, your hedge is 2 inches over regulation height. Then, why do you have so many deliveries? And finally, I just think people should know what you do in that basement. I designed green energy systems, Karen. Anyway, I brushed it off. Until Wednesday morning rolled in cold and quiet, and my entire system solar, batteries, grid connection was offline. Like, manually disconnected. So I walked outside, still holding that sad mug of coffee, and saw the answer. A thick orange Locknot Mini on my breaker panel. My private breaker panel, tucked behind a fence on my property. And that's when she did it. She saw me staring at the panel, probably assumed I was about to rip it down and called 911. I swear to you, I hadn't even touched the damn thing when the sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Karen was standing on the sidewalk like she'd just summoned a purge. Arms crossed, chin up. I could hear her sugarcoating it already. He was tampering with something dangerous. I feared for the safety of the neighborhood. Ma'am, is this your property? The deputy asked. No, but... He cut her off. Then please step back. Now I'm calm by nature. But something inside me cracked that day. Maybe it was the smell of spoiled groceries in my fridge or the fact that I had a job interview via Zoom in 2 hours and no damn power. I looked that deputy dead in the eye and said, Sir, before we go any further, would you mind following me? I have something to show you. Took him inside through the side door. I clicked a flashlight on and brought him into the basement. That's where the magic lives. Server rack glowing faint blue from the UPS, one emergency circuit still juicing. The rest stone dead. But the deputy didn't care about the tech. He was staring at the wall, where I'd framed every energy patent I ever filed, every award from MIT to Black Engineers of America, even a commendation from the White House. Yeah, that White House. Is this your work? He asked. All of it, I said. This house runs almost fully off-grid. The system Karen just disabled powers my server room, which controls not just my home, but 4 other houses on this block I volunteered to support during storm outages, including her neighbor, Mrs. Delgado, who's on oxygen. His face dropped. I wasn't done. Also, that panel outside? That's not just a breaker box. It's tied into a research pilot with the state's Green Tech Initiative. Cutting that power wasn't just trespassing. It was interfering with federal infrastructure. And I swear to God, that man muttered, "Oh, damn." He stepped outside, radioed something, then calmly asked Karen to come over. She strutted across like she was collecting a trophy. Instead, she got served. Ma'am, I need to inform you you're under investigation for property tampering and endangering medical safety. I suggest you contact your lawyer. Her face went from smug-gray. But wait, it gets better. While all this was going on, her husband, poor guy, always in slippers and looking like he'd rather be anywhere else, came outside and said, "You might want to see what the kids did." Kids? Turns out, Karen had roped the neighborhood teens into helping her clean up unsightly utilities in exchange for gift cards. They posted about it on Instagram, with tags and selfies. One of them, standing next to my locked breaker smiling with the caption, "HA Cleanup Day." Miss Karen said this guy doesn't belong here anyway. When I tell you the deputy's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Within hours, 2 more cruisers rolled in. Then someone from the county's utility authority. Then a lawyer mine, this time. And here's the twist. I wasn't even going to sue. I was going to let it go. But then I found out about Mrs. Delgado. She'd lost oxygen pressure for 32 minutes that morning. If her daughter hadn't shown up early, she might not be here. So I filed. And the community? Man, you wouldn't believe the shift. Folks who used to wave at Karen like she ran the damn place started showing up at my door. Apologies. Cookies. One guy brought me a gift card to Home Depot like that was gonna fix federal interference. But the real cherry on top? 2 weeks later, a town hall was called. Not by Karen, been suspended pending legal proceedings. Nope. This was from the county. And who did they ask to speak about energy independence, safety, and responsible innovation? Me. In front of the same people who used to side-eye my garage like it was a meth lab, I stood up, clicked a PowerPoint, and walked them through every inch of what I'd built to help them. The applause? Real. Karen? She showed up late, tried to speak, and was escorted out. But here's the thing that stuck with me the most. Later that night, as I walked out to take the trash, I saw her standing by her car alone, staring down at her phone. No smug grin, just silence. She looked up at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. I didn't smile. I didn't wave. I just said, next time, ask. Now she's facing charges tampering, reckless endangerment, and civil suit damages from the pilot program and Mrs. Delgado's family. Her HOA presidency? Gone. Her neighborhood fame? Turned into infamy. And her little crusade against people who don't fit in. It backfired loud enough for every neighbor to hear it. So here's my question. What makes someone so obsessed with control that they'd risk lives, law, and livelihood just to feel like they're in charge? Let me know down below, was justice served? Or should she have seen it coming sooner? Drop your thoughts. Whose side would you be on if you lived on Windmere Drive?